This session will be available for viewing on demand within approximately 30 minutes. You'll find it back in the Engagement Hub when it's ready to be replayed. Now, allow me to introduce our expert speaker. Jim Boykin is the CEO and founder of Internet Marketing Ninjas, one of the world's leading online marketing firms. Today, he'll be discussing how link building has changed and what you need to do now. Take it away, Jim.
Thank you very much. All right, so yes, how link building has changed and what are the things that you need to do now. I have a lot of slides, so we're going to go fairly fast through this. All right, who is Jim Boykin? You may be wondering. Well, I started my company back in 1999. Wow, it's been over 20 years, and SEO is my religion and my law. Won't never change. You may think it's strange, but you can't kill SEO. It's here to stay. That's my Ozzy impersonation. All right, so I am the CEO and founder of Internet Marketing Ninjas. We've had between 40 and 50 employees for the past about 6 years. We kind of found our perfect size. Just a little bit of the breakdown of our team. The average employee has been with us for pretty close to 9 years. We have 30 people on the service staff, 14 in content marketing. That's a fancy name for doing things to try and get links. So that's our biggest team. We also have the brand asset team who are doing things to get links. And we have analysts and content editors and a couple in reputation and support staff. So right now we have 42. And again, the biggest part is those people trying to do things to get other websites to link to our clients. All right, so I'm sure that everyone knows that search engine optimization means working towards higher rankings in the search engine result page, which is now a lot of things. And everyone knows you can have the most amazing content in the entire world and the most amazing user experience compared to all your competitors. Amazing, and that's where a lot of people stop at. But without good backlinks, your chances of ranking in Google are pretty darn slim. You know, there's even been studies about it. Yeah, can you rank without backlinks? New data says slim chance. You really need backlinks. Here's some of the 25 ranking factors from SparkToro, and all the green lines are content and all the red lines are all the link factors. Links are a huge part of the algorithm. So let's talk a little bit about the algorithm. And, you know, if I were to narrow down the Google search algorithm like into only 4 pieces, they basically would be links. You know, it's the quality, the expertise, the authority, and the anchor text, but don't overdo it on anchor text. All right, and then the second one, it has to do with content, the keywords, your relevance, the accuracy, the trust. And then the third one has to do with user experience. Is it query relevant? Are there pogo sticking, which means if people run a search in Google for a phrase, if they land on your site, do they just go back to Google and click on the next site? Is your site mobile friendly? And then, you know, you don't want your user experience to have someone look like that when they're viewing your website. And then the fourth item here is the technical, you know, the mobile, load speed, etc. But today we're going to talk about links. Links are often the biggest key to rankings in Google. They have been since Google's start. Here's Larry Page and Sergey Brin and Craig Silverstein, who was employee #1 in their famous paper, The Anatomy of a Large-Scale Hypertextual Search Engine, that I got them to autograph. And this whole paper and the whole start of Google was, we can analyze sites better and rankings better by analyzing the backlinks. And it's still true to this day. They're just a lot better at removing stuff for backlinks that aren't real and aren't natural. And so building links can be, you know, like going through a minefield. It's a really tricky thing. And you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the guy who's caught in a fire of link building because you didn't know that what you were doing could cause a bomb. You know, there's a lot of people that think that the link building they're doing is just fine, and that's the people on the bottom. And then there's that Google's that shark, and he's about to eat them. It can be dangerous. It's not a simple thing. But, you know, these days I'm really amazed at 2 things that really amaze me. You know, there's some people that they just want to ignore link building. You know, they know it's a piece of the equation, but they're like, we're not going to go into that area. It's too dangerous. So we're just going to do everything else and not worry about link building. Links are just going to come. And then the other thing that I'm amazed at is those that are buying links and selling links from databases. And I see this all the time. You know, you go to a conference or you go to some other company and they're like, you know, we have this database of sites, you know, and here, you know, what is the Moz Authority or Majestic Authority or Ahrefs Authority that you're looking for? They all have these spreadsheets, you know, and they're like, oh, you know, you're a finance site. Well, we have a whole bunch of finance blogs and we'll write you posts in those finance blogs. And you know, the problem is those blogs are selling to everyone. And usually those blogs are artificial. They have artificial backlinks to them, and then they're linking out to all these SEO sites. And the stuff is so easy to map. And if you're one who's like going to some site and you're like, yeah, you know, I've got a car site or a finance site, and they're like, yeah, we have a big database of sites where you can be getting links from, like, that's one of the most dangerous things that you can do. If someone has a list of sites where they're getting links for thousands of other people on those sites, and it's the most easy thing for Google to map out. Now, I'm no angel. I have a bit of a past. I've built my house on links more than once. Here's a Lego house that one of the employees, they built me. And, you know, it started out with link trading, you know, hey, that was really cool. And then we moved on to pyramid linking strategies. This is a long time ago. We're talking 2004 going back here, you know, and then, you know, we bought links on high page rank sites. And I remember the day, November 7th, 2003, the day that Google took my house and they crushed it. And I realized, oh, you know, you really can't do that. So I rebuilt the house. So I rebuilt my house of link building. And then I bought links under the radar. You know, like no one's going to know that I'm building these links. I can get really clever links that blend in so good. And you know, thought I was so good at getting under the radar links. And even Google was paying me for links. You know, this is something where we were doing links through a company called Performix, and Google bought them. And for a couple of months, Google was actually getting links from us through this other service. They spun that service off, and this was like 12 years ago, long time ago. But after that, guess what? My house crumbled again. And it's like, you know, and I had to do a post about paid links aren't worth it to me anymore. There is no such thing as under the radar. And I had to rebuild my house again. And I don't like rebuilding my house again, and I don't want to have to rebuild my house again. So that basically means that, you know, I was done with buying links on November 13th, 2008. That was it for me. But, you know, I'm not alone. You know, Google themselves have been caught with buying links. You know, here's one from 2009 where Google, they penalized themselves. And then, you know, in 2012, here they are again caught buying links. And, you know, here's kind of a quote. We're not 100% sure yet, nor do we have a statement on Google on this, but it appears that Google hired a marketing company to run a campaign to promote their browser, Google Chrome, and basically they paid bloggers with Amazon gift certificates to write sponsored posts. And that's against Google's guidelines, and Google was doing it themselves. Here they are again, 2018. So it's like, you know, I have to worry about Google buying links and getting in trouble when the average person who doesn't know any better, you know, goes somewhere and says, you know, I need some links. They heard they need links, and so they're going and buying these blog links that they think are good and relevant. But it's like, you can't do that. In fact, sites that are selling links can get in trouble as well. So you shouldn't sell links. Basically, if Google finds that you're a site that's selling links or giving out guest blog posts like all the time that are followed, or for any reason they don't trust the site, they won't pass the PageRank from flowing. And so there's a lot of people that are buying links on sites that haven't passed PageRank or Power in years. And so buying links can hurt. And Matt Cutts years ago even said that people that are selling sites, they're going to notice that their page rank drops, that their site lose the ability to pass page rank. And then the links pointing to your site from the seller sites are no longer counted, no longer benefit. This has been going on for years. A lot of people are buying links from sites that they don't realize none of that passes. Google's known about these sites for years. Even Barry Schwartz had an issue with Google saying, hey, how come you're making me follow my links? And Google penalized them. And then years later, Google Barry came back and said, all right, I'll put the no follow on those links. But let's talk a little bit about links and updates. So, years ago, there was this update called Penguin, and Penguin happened many, many times. And Penguin had to do with analyzing backlinks and penalizing sites with artificial backlinks. And then Penguin kind of got rolled into the core algorithm. So now it's kind of happening on a regular basis. It's also, for a lot of what Google is doing with analyzing backlinks, if they find backlinks that they feel are artificial, then often what they'll do is, instead of penalizing the whole site, they now tend to penalize a specific page or a specific folder. Not always. It kind of depends on what you're doing. But now often, it affects a specific part of the website rather than the whole folder. Here's what John Mueller, he says, with regards to devaluing these low quality links, instead of punishing you, and generally try and figure out what kind of spammy tactics are happening, and we'll say, we'll just try to ignore this part with regards to your website. So Penguin has now been rolled into the core algorithm, and it's real time rather than regular refreshes. In the old days, there'd be like a day of an update, and sites would crash, and now it's more of a real time thing that's going on. And again, it's no longer a site-wide issue always. Often it's a page or maybe a folder issue. So, with that being said, looking at your keywords and rankings can be really important to see if suddenly a folder drops or a page drops. You may want to look at, hey, what are the links, the backlinks going into that page or to that folder? Is there stuff that's artificial in there? Stuff that artificially maybe caused you to rank, or stuff that caused you to get into trouble. And I think that everyone says, they all want white hat links. I go to lots of conferences and people are like, Jim, I want the white hat links. And I'm like, great. But the problem is they follow it up. They say, I want the white hat link building. And they follow it up with, here's the 5 phrases we're targeting. And it's like, no, man, if you're targeting specific phrases and specific pages, unless you have something really, really cool on that page that people would want to link to it voluntarily, like, you're not going to get other people to link to your product page or your money page. And especially if you're going to your SEO saying, I need to rank for these specific phrases, you're into the black hat. And there's some people say I need, X amount of links per month, and I need the domains to be at least a X authority according to Moz Majestic or Ahrefs, and they all have to come about pages or come from pages about, that specific topic. And they want to make sure that their anchor text is all, whatever their commercial phrase is that they're targeting. And, they want links to go to their commercial pages. And, that's the same person that said that they were white hat. And this happens all the time. And people don't realize that, like, this type of thing, in order to get these types of links, you're doing something that's artificial. There's a lot of people that come to me as well, and they're like, well, we already got the low-hanging fruit, Jim. And I'm like, well, what is your low-hanging fruit? And they're like, well, we submitted a whole bunch of directories. We did some article syndication. We had guest blog posts, forum links, paid blog posts, hired some link builders. We got some PBNs, which is private blog networks. And I look at their low-hanging fruit, and I'm like, this is what your low-hanging fruit looks like to me. And I know why. I know why people do this is because their boss is yelling at them, being like, I need to be #1 for this phrase or you're fired. And so people are like, oh my God, how do I get exact match anchor text to that money page and have it be natural? And then, it's the pressure from bosses often that's saying we need to be #1. And so, what happened to those people is they all went out and they all got guest blog posts on guest blog post sites that's taken from an inventory of sites that sell guest blog posts. But people buy it because to their boss, it looks relevant. and it's on a relevant site, and the domain authority looks good. And I mean, this is where a lot of people are like, hey, I need to get links to my money pages, and I'm a finance site. So they go to some company that says like, oh, you need finance links? We have a bunch of finance bloggers, they pull out the spreadsheet and they're like, we'll write a blog post on one of these finance blogger sites, and in there'll be some money links to you. And people, they hand it to their boss, and their boss is like, yeah, this looks good. It's a finance site. Here's my link. It's a good article. But it's like they don't realize that, the post after them was going to a payday loan site. The one after that was going to some health insurance site. Or like they're all going to SEO stuff, and all these SEOs are all doing this. And the person that sold you the one links, they've got a whole bunch of them. Oh, you want finance sites? They've got 100 of them. And everyone that comes to that company and says, I need some finance links, like, great, we got 100 of them. And so now all these people are all interlinked and inbred inside of all these sites, and it's so easy to map. I got this screenshot this morning because there's a lot of people, and I had a client last week who was like, hey, I can get a link from Mashable and the Forbes. And I'm like, oh man, like I get these emails several times a week. In my email, I get all these messages on LinkedIn. Hey, you want to get links from Forbes or Entrepreneur or Mashable? Like, these people even guarantee it. This is some company out there selling them. I just found it this morning. I don't even remember who it was, but like if you're doing SEO, you get these emails, and it's like, these sites don't pass PageRank. Google knows about these sites. They know they've been selling sites for years. Like, the sites really aren't penalized, but they don't pass PageRank. All right. In fact, this just came out, I think it was yesterday or today. It came out very recently, where someone asked John Mueller, they said, since in your recent tweet with SEMrush, I'm sure you guys have all heard the SEMrush story about them selling blog links. And I love SEMrush, but that was a crazy idea. But where was I? It would be good to clarify. We all know that paying for a guest post is against the guidelines, but what about guest posts in general where no money changes hands? And John replies, this is from June 11th. He says that's part of the problematic thing is the links. If you're providing the content, the links, then those links shouldn't be passing signals and should have the rel sponsored, rel no follow attached. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people think, well, we're getting links on these finance blogs and they're not charging us money. And it's like, you're still breaking Google's guidelines. You are. And, here's an engineer at Google, and he's mapping out your links, and he's smiling. And I can map out the links. And if I can map them out, so does the Google guy. And if he maps out your link, you're apt to get a message like this. It's kind of the one that says, hey, it looks like you got some artificial links going to your site, and you're trying to game our results, and you're penalized. You don't want to get an email like this sent to you. So let's move on to another part. So how do you measure the links that you have? And how do you get the kind of links that you don't have to worry about? So measuring the links for disavow. It's really an advanced feature. I think most people that do a disavow, they harm their site. And I'm not the only one who feels that most people that do a disavow are harming their site because they don't know what's good or bad. Marie Haynes was talking with John Mueller. I think it was actually during PubCon where John was on stage. Marie was reporting about it. But she says, how often do new site owners disavow links that hurt them? And Gary from Google, his answer was, it's often enough that if it were me, I'd remove the disavow tool. If you don't know what you were doing, you can shoot yourself in the foot. And most people don't know what they're doing because they're looking at Moz, Majestic, and Href scores and saying, like, I don't know, anything below 25, we're going to disavow. It's like people are disavowing really good links, and they're not disavowing links that are obviously paid. So again, so there's the other thought of, if you disavow your bad links, could it hurt you or could it help you in the algorithm? And that's kind of debatable. Maureen Haynes has asked John Mueller as well. Is there any way to look at, so say we didn't get a manual action or they didn't get a manual action, can those links, can they hurt them algorithmically? Because we're seeing some improvements on some sites after disavowing. And John says, well, it can definitely be the case. So it's something where our algorithm, when they look at it and they see, oh, there's a bunch of really bad links here, and maybe they'll be a bit more cautious with regards to links in general from the websites. So if you clean that up, then the algorithm looks at it and says, oh, it's kind of okay, it's not that bad. That's the Google police. If you can hear them, they're coming after someone. The problem is people assume they know how to measure a link. They use Moz, Ahrefs, Majestic, toxic links, Hug, things your link analysis tool don't do. They don't look at patterns in the backlinks. We're just going to move beyond that. They don't look at a lot of other patterns, those other tools. So what do you use to find your backlinks? A lot of people use Moz, Majestic, Ahrefs, or Google Webmaster Search Console. Each one of those only has a small slice of the web, and some of it overlaps. Here's one of our internal tools where we took our site and we pulled all the backlinks to it. And if we look at here, you know, the top backlinks, they all know about it. These little check boxes are which one of those places know about it. And often the top ones, they all know about them. But as you start to get deeper into the list, here's some that Moz knows about and the others don't. Here's some SEO kicks that knows about. Here's some where Majestic knows and the other don't know. They all have a small slice. If you're only using just one, you're only getting a small slice. Here's kind of another fact for you. So 89% of sites that ranked 7 years ago are no longer ranking today. And this is important because, and this came from Marcus Tober. So what happened to those 89 sites that no longer rank today, that ranked 7 years ago? Some have gone away, some have been redirected, a lot have been penalized. All right, so we're gonna, whoops, there we go. All right, so let's talk about Moz Majestic and Ahrefs, their value versus reality. So down here is a site, let's see, outsource it to Philippines. It's got 3,403 backlinks. That's a lot. And it ranks for 38 phrases, and it's only worth $17 according to SEMrush. It's like, wow, with that many backlinks, you would think it would have a lot more power and would rank for a lot more things. And if we look at the history of the site, we can see the site's been toasted by Google. The site was doing artificial stuff and it no longer ranks. But a lot of people will be like, oh, I'll get that link. Here's another one. It's really small. You can't see it. Let's bring it up here. ProGarden.biz has a whole bunch of backlinks to it. Okay, and it used to be worth a lot of money at good value, and then slowly over time it just got crushed. But if you look at these numbers in Moz Majestic or Ahrefs, they show high scores, and so a lot of people will be like, that's a good link, I like that site. No, the site's been penalized in Google. You know, here's the chart, the site's been penalized. Here's another one, Forum Snit's got like 4,595 backlinks. You know, wow, great site. If you look at the numbers on Moz Majestic and Ahrefs, they have all these high scores, and a lot of people will be like, yeah, I'll take that site. Yeah, that's a good link. No, it's worth $1 today. The site's been crushed. You know, I went to the site because I'm like, I kind of recognize the site. It sounds familiar. And when I did the screenshot, I'm like, wow, people are still buying links on this site. And I'm like, this looks really familiar. And I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, I bought a link there back in 2002. And I know that in 2003, the site stopped passing PageRank. There's no value in this anymore. Google knows about it. They know about a lot of sites. You know, the site's worth $1. Site's been crushed, but there's a lot of people that are like, yummy, I like that link. And it's like, no, you can't use those scores. 89% of those sites that ranked 7 years ago are no longer ranking today, but they're going to have a good Moz Majestic and Ahrefs score. And people think these sites are okay. They're not. They've been penalized and banned. I don't believe in any of these tools. I don't believe in the Moz Majestic or Ahrefs, none of those domain scores. So let's talk about some 4 methods for getting links, because we only have a few minutes here. And so we're going to talk about broken link building, and we are going to talk about trust-based link building, and we're going to talk about competitor link building, and we're going to talk about brand asset link building. All right, so real quickly, broken link building. So here I'm on a web page, happens to be an EDU page. It's a really good page, and on the page I notice, hey, here's a broken link on the bottom. It's a 404. There's plenty of tools you can get to find where there's broken links on pages. So I'm like, hey, it's a 404. It's a great link from an EDU. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the Wayback Machine and say, what is it used to be on that page? And I say, all right, here's what used to be on that page, a really good article. And so I'm going to go to my writer and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to give them a link to the Wayback Machine. I'm going to say, I want you to write this, only write it better, and original. And then I'm going to give that page to the client website. And I'm going to say, hey, I want you to publish this on your site. And then I'm going to write to that guy, hey, Professor Bob, I noticed you got a broken link down here. And if you want to fix it, I found a really cool replacement link for that. Okay, and let's go back to this page. There's that edu and there's that broken link. Well, I wonder if there's other people that are linking to that broken link. Whoa, not only is that edu, it's linking to a page that's broken, but 200 other websites are linking to that. So wow, I'm going to write to all those people. Hey, Professor Larry. Hey, Professor Mo. Hey, Professor Curly. You got broken links and you should fix it with this one. All right, the next area, the trusted link building. Okay. So an example page that we created was 98 resources to build your own website. And it got all sorts of links from colleges and universities and just beautiful, beautiful links. Let's talk about, and here's a way that you can do that. So you can grab the top 1,000 results for a search phrase and look for pages that have 7 or more external links that are on the pages, and you want to write to them and see if they'll add yours. Hey, I see you have a great resource on X topic. I found this other really, really cool resource that's on this topic. Would you add it to the page? Here's an example of one of those emails where you're saying, hey, I think you should add this link to your page. There's a lot of people that do competitor link harvesting, another kind, but you have to be careful because your competitor could have bad links. And if you're grabbing those bad links, then you're just harvesting the bad links. So here's a way to grab some competitor links. So you want to identify some competitors, you want to download their backlinks, and then you kind of want to remove the stuff that is spam so you only have the good links. And then kind of you can categorize those into blogs form and news articles and other things. You can make a list of sites you can get on and then write to those and try and get on those sites. If you can't get on the exact page that's linking to the competitors, then you just try and get on the site as well. Let's talk a little bit about brand assets. So here's an interactive infographic that we built. It's really cool. And here's how this did. So if you look at the analytics, it must have been published at the end of November. In December, it got 11,000 visits, January 660, February 1,970, March over 1 million visits to that infographic. And now if we look at the line below, it's talking about the number of links, 3, 16, 20, 24, 183 backlinks came into that, then 237. It's now at 246 backlinks. All this stuff came natural. Like people saw it, it went viral, people wrote about it. We didn't ask people to link to this stuff. It just happened. That's a real backlink. Here's another one we did. This got 55,000 visits and 161 backlinks. These are just like, how do I say, I just grabbed one client and I went through their data. And what I did is I looked at, how well are the brand assets doing for this client as far as the number of links. So here were the first 8. One of them did really good. And then when I looked at the next group, these did okay. And then when I looked at the third group, all right, yep, this one also, it went viral, and this one, it went viral. In my eyes, viral means getting a bunch of links, but I didn't ask these people to link to it. They found it and linked to it voluntarily. And so the average links for this particular one for the brand assets was 41. Here's a couple others. And we're coming right to the end here. A lot of these others, they do really good. This one got on Huffington Toast, BuzzFeed, Distractified, Board Panda. We had one that got shared by George Takei. The whole thing is build these things and get them shared so that news places find it and talk about it and ideally link about it. That's one of the goals. So, we've created things like this and they're getting lots of really good links, lots of really good mentions. And here's the main way that we advertise those. There's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, Reddit, Mix, other submittal sites, trusted outreach emails, and the journalist. Now go forth and create great content and then promote it to the right eyes. And you don't want Google to be mapping your links. Thank you very much.